Okay boys, like I said in class, today's video is a little bit longer, a little bit more mundane. We'll be looking at what Silicon Coach is, how you use Silicon Coach, quick little tutorial there. Obviously we'll go through this a bit more detail in class, and then the video finishes with a professional coach's and swing analysis of Rory Mcilroy. Pay particular attention to what he analyzes in Rory's swing, because this is what you're going to do with Silicon Coach with your golf swing. You'll compare Rory's swing to your swing. You'll analyze what you're doing well, what needs improving, and how the principles of biomechanics are directly influencing the performance of your golf swing.
To use Silicon Coach Live with your class, you'll need to purchase a zone. The zone sits inside Silicon Coach Live and is a private, secure area where you and your students can work online. Once you've purchased your zone, you'll be given a class code. You'll give this code to your students so they can join your zone. The next step is to tell the students to go to the Silicon Coach Live website and to create their own accounts. Now they can enter the unique class code that you will provide them. Then the students will sign up to Silicon Coach Live and enter your class code. Once you accept them into your zone, they'll see your zone listed in their Silicon Coach Live area. From then on, they'll have access to the video and module resources in your zone.
Here's the first video on Silicon Coach Live, and we're going to have a quick look around. So, like other video platforms, you just type in your login, and when you do so, you can enter the site to you. So let's look at them. Under Analysis, we have a single video analysis. So once you click there, it will look at all the videos that are available for you, and then show them over here in these lists. And if it turns out it's a bit slow, then either your connection is a bit slow, or you have a whole lot of videos. Okay, let's pick one. So if you pick one, you just can preview it. That's cool. And if you're happy with this, then you go next. And it loads into a player which has all these funny tools over here. So what can you do? Well, you can draw on video, for example. So like this, circle. Hey, here's the guy. Or delete it, of course, again. And let's look at the player function actually. It says a player function, which is like a normal play. I can see here a switch to put it on slow motion. So now it plays in slow motion. Or if I stop it, I can just go step by step through the video to really pinpoint what is going on. There's a loop button, which is actually, if it ends, then it will start again. That's quite a simple one. And I love this one, to compare left and right handers. Oops, there it goes. Simple, isn't it?
Next takes me through to the analysis screen, and here I have a variety of tools. I can play through the video, can step through the video. In this example, I'm using the dot tool, and I'm using the arrow keys to advance the video, and on every few frames drawing a dot to represent the path of the flight of the ball. This first example from the first thrower is not successful. To differentiate the colors, I'll change, play through the video a bit further to the second athlete, and then we'll follow the path of the ball. We can take a capture of the screenshot before we start that. And again, to advance the video, I'm using the arrow keys on the keyboard. This speeds up the process. So this shot is actually successful. You can see quite a different flight path of the ball. We can even use an angle tool, connect some dots and get an angle of release. And that's an example of a single video analysis.
This is BJ Hathaway of Augusta Golf Instruction, and this will be a swing analysis for Rory Mcilroy. This will be geared towards the average golfer, Some things to look at, but also for the average golfer, if you like his swing, then this will give you some things to look for in your setup and swing that will help you to be a better player. So that's what this is geared towards. But let's go ahead and start with Rory. We see just got a plain line drawn in here, and I'll put one line across the back of his hips. And so we'll get him started. We'll see a nice posture here, good bend angle, and I like the way his arms, basically you'll see his hands hang in this area through here, which is just outside his toes. So that's a good posture to emulate. And also like how the shaft runs through the belt line. And as we get him started here, you'll see he's kind of a one-piece takeaway. Club moves very much on plane through this section with not a lot of independent movement of the body, and not much manipulation of the club face through here. And when he gets the club about parallel to the ground here, we'll see that the club face is not toe up. It's slightly angled down towards the ground. And as he continues past parallel, he'll start to add just a little wrist set here. And so the club face is still not really changing angle yet. So he's basically just moved the club a little bit further up. And then he'll allow the right elbow to start folding just now. And you'll see how that right forearm is still in line with the shaft. And so immediately he starts getting that shaft basically parallel to the plane. So if we stop him at this location, we'll see his hands are basically in the middle of his chest, so not a lot of independent movement of the arms away from the body. And the club shaft is pretty much going to point almost perfectly at the golf ball. Okay, so that's a good position you can get in the mirror and try to see, does your swing get pretty close to these positions? Are you still in posture? And do you have the club shaft pointing down at the plane like that? So you see he's going to keep that club basically on the same angle. He's not going to do anything funny up and down with the shaft angle, rotating it up or flat behind him. He's going to keep it right here. So we're going to leave that line in and continue him up. So you see his hands are basically going to travel up that path. And it looks from this perspective like he's not turning anymore, but we'll see the face on view as well, and you'll see he does continue turning the shoulders. So he's about done here, and let's back out some of these lines temporarily. You see he's still in posture, and the right forearm is basically supporting that shaft, and you got this nice triangle here at the top. So he's really supporting the club at the top. So in between the yellow line and the red is where he needs to come down in the downswing to get in that slot that you've heard about. So he's going to start unwinding pretty much immediately from this perspective. You'll see a little squat and then quite a bit of turning action with the hips, and then the torso is going to engage as well. And you'll see that club is going to get back on that red plane line, and then as he gets in about the same position that his left arm was, the club is actually lower and pointing almost exactly at the ball again. And you'll see the hands are basically in the middle of his chest again, so his hands are not too deep behind him. Now this would be a somewhat challenging position to get into for you on the downswing to practice, but you could. You would have to have a lot of turn in the lower body with not much in the upper body. But what we're looking for is, what is that shaft doing? And you'll see it's basically riding parallel in between those lines. Hips are still moving, still turning. And so here's another interesting point. So if we check these positions here, we'll see that they're still basically all very near to parallel to each other. You'll see not an over rotation of the club face. Hit that ball square. Pretty standard setup, not a lot of foot flare. Right foot is basically square, left foot may be slightly flared out. And he does not use, from this perspective, a somewhat considered normal hand position. They are slightly forward. We'll go ahead and mark his right hip position. Now we can tell what he's doing with his pivot. And so we'll see from this perspective, he's going to basically maintain the triangle for the initial section of his takeaway. And so basically that right arm is starting to fold just a little here. And as he coils around his spine, you'll see basically some a traditional style pivot where he's not staying stacked over his left foot. And again, we talked about his flexibility. I think this is a 7-iron, so he's not going to quite get it to parallel. Very close. But a lot of flexibility in that lead arm and shoulder. Now, as far as hip turn, tried to measure that as best we could. It's about 35 degrees of hip turn, so not a great deal of turn, but you can see quite a bit of turn in the shoulders. So if you're this flexible and you like this golf swing, this is a top position that you can look at and try to see if your body will allow you to get in that position. You'll see his hips have stayed stable. There's no significant sway off the golf ball with his hips or his head. His head is very much in the center of his body at the top. He's going to transition with a hip slide right here. So it's a very subtle movement. There is a little bit of hip turn as well, but it's basically moving the body back onto the left hip and left foot, and then his body starts to unwind. And we're going to see him get in a great spot here. All the lag that he had at the top, he's basically leaving his arms and club alone, not trying to do anything with the club head. So he's dragging that grip into the club down and through with his pivot. And we'll see impact is here. So this would be a good thing for all golfers to work on, no matter how flexible you are, is to always try to get yourself in a very good balanced position on the left side when you finish your golf swing. You'll see the entire bottom of that right shoe will be visible from down the line, and there's no wobble in his finish position with his body.